Okay. Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. Let me see. I know we're going to have tech issues already. I just know it. I just know it. Are we live? Are we live? I think we are. All right. How is everybody? So, we have a couple of guests from Tent City 4. For those of you that have been following me for years, you know I've visited several tent cities and have a fondness for the Tent City community in Seattle. And we have streamed from Tent City 5 and done a lot of stuff. So, first off, let me get this all set up. I was kind of doing this last minute and I'm learning my lesson here. I am learning my lesson. Okay, let's get this over there and this over there. And we have to do... So what's new, people? How is everybody? I see Dano's in the house. Addie's in the house. Derek's in the house. Everybody. Where? Come on. Oh. This multiple screen thing. Good thing I'm not chewing gum. So, why is it... Okay. Do you guys hear our guests? Or is it just me there that hears them? I'm trying to get this... Oh! Why is it not working? Why is it not working? Okay, we need to go here. That's not working. Okay. Okay, I am ready. You guys ready? We've been streaming for a bit. Happy Sunday. So, I do not know if I have the audio right for what we're trying to do here, but we're going to just wing it anyways. I have a couple of guests, and I'm going to set this up a little bit. This year, it's a new year. Hopefully, you guys are excited. As you know, I didn't stream last week. A lot of things. I mean, it's just hit me. But I did a lot of introspection. And I was looking at why didn't I stream? And, I want to be there for you guys. That's part of doing a regular internet show is, showing up even when you don't want to. And I have a bunch of times. But I think one of my roadblocks is we don't have an established show format. And when I'm in Los Angeles or if I'm on the road traveling someplace, I have a lot to talk about. But when I'm here in Binghamton and the most interaction I've had with another human in person has been at the checkout counter. And it's been just rough. Rough. Speaking of rough, I first saw these are both members of our online support group. And Kevin runs a YouTube channel. And he posted in the group a video of Dave.
I'm right here.
There's your.
I'm right here.
Hey. So everybody say hello to David, and Kevin is next to him.
Kevin's right here.
Yeah. So first
We're
off,
gonna sound. This is Gabe.
okay, your internet isn't as good as when we tested. You're breaking up a little bit.
Okay.
It's getting better now. Cool. So David lives in Tent City 4. Tell us what Tent City 4 is.
Tent City 4 is sponsored by an organization called Share, Seattle Homeless. Seattle Housing Effort and Alliance, and they are our parent agency. They provide the toilets. We have portable toilets, 2 of them. We have a dumpster, and there are about 20 people in this camp. It's a smaller camp. I came here from Tent City 3. It was set up for 100 people, and we had 5 portable toilets and 2 dumpsters, and it was a little more chaotic. This is kind of the retirement village. I did 6 months in Tent City 3 and became eligible to move here, where it's nice and peaceful and everybody behaves themselves.
So I think there's so many tent cities up there, sanctioned tent cities. And I think I visited TC3 in the summer of 2019. I think that was my last time. All of them are, and I don't know about Tent City 4. Tent City 5 was a little more permanent because they were given some land. But you guys have to rotate between different churches, yes?
We move every 3 months, approximately. We're currently in the parking lot of a big United Methodist church out in the suburb. Tent City 4 is fortunate that they get to work on the east side out in the suburbs. Tent City 3 is more in the city. Tent City 3 right now is on the University of Washington campus in a parking lot, and doing very well. I've got some friends over there I'm in contact with still. In fact, I'm going there on Tuesday to meet with a guy who I just got moved in there today. He was a friend from the road who came to Seattle from Colorado to hook up, and he ended up in Tent City 3 because I knew where to send him.
Yeah.
Oh. The Tent City there. Tent City 4 is in the east side of Seattle, which is where Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos live. In fact, Tent City 4 was actually on Mercer Island once. So it's not a low barrier camp. It's a sober living camp. But also it's surrounded in one of the most affluent communities in the country.
Hey, you just kind of stepped in there, and that's perfect timing because I was going to introduce. This is Kevin, and Kevin, what are you doing at Tent City 4?
I was homeless 7 years ago, Mark, and I've never left the homeless community from that time. I've been continuously volunteering and doing service work. On January 23rd, I will have 6 years of sobriety off of alcohol. And in my recovery, I've found it beneficial to do service work. So I've worked at the downtown missions. We do an outreach downtown. But this one's closer to my home. And so for the last year or so, I've been kind of hanging out in Tent City 4. So long story short, these are just my friends, Mark. So this is where I'm at a lot of the time.
Yeah. And who's the gentleman behind you? So for those of you watching, they're in like the common area of the tent city. So everybody either has a tent or a little shack. And then there's a common area where there's food and storage and electricity. And who's the gentleman behind you?
That's Jerry.
My name is Jerry.
Hi, Jerry. Nice to meet you. I'm Mark.
Nice to meet you.
Mark, Jerry was on the news recently, and I'll send you a link, and you can watch his story and learn a little bit more about him.
Okay. Yeah. No, really cool, man. Thanks a lot. So, David, you've been traveling. I did a little background. We messaged back and forth earlier today, and you couldn't get into some affordable housing. You ended up homeless, and you decided to travel. And then you, because of health issues, that no longer was possible. You were a nomad for a while. I liked how you said that. What was it? Your dog gets the rides, and you do what?
I set up the tent.
His dog gets the rides, and David sets up the tent. So tell me a little bit about your story and how you ended up where you're at.
Yeah, Gabe and I have traveled 18,000 miles together hitchhiking. We've been all over the country. I'm on Social Security disability, so I have about $900 a month coming in for income. And that was normal, but I could do, with the access pass from the Forest Service, half price camping at any of their facilities in the whole country. So national forests, Army Corps of Engineers dams, National Forest Service campgrounds, national parks, anything run by the feds, it was half price, $100 a night to put up a tent with security and showers and electricity and water, and it was the safe way to be homeless. I was on the road, living on a limited budget, didn't have a permanent address. Me and the dog were surviving, but I would rather, bears are more predictable than people. I would really rather be out there than in a city right now, but I had to seek health care.
Right. And I mean, that is the thing that a lot of, I have a romantic attraction to travelers. I wish I could. I think I'm just too old. I'm not going to, go out and hitchhike and hop trains or whatever. And
I'm kind of in the mourning process right now. I'm 53 years old, and I've got a failed C5-6 fusion in my neck, and they're talking about fusing from C3 to 7 with bars and screws and stuff, and my backpacking days may be over.
Right. And it's fun. It's cool. I mean, if you like that lifestyle. I mean, I am not a nomadic person. I don't think I would do good camping in the woods, but there's a point where you get older and, life changes, and all of a sudden you find yourself homeless with no real support. That a lot of times travelers don't think about that.
I'm fortunate that I had the Social Security income. I don't have to panhandle,
So tell me about homelessness in Seattle.
Homelessness in Seattle is challenging. There's a lot of us. There are probably 12,000 homeless is a conservative estimate, and they're not doing a count this year.
Right.
So we don't know the numbers in actuality. I know walking the streets downtown where I check my mail, at a shelter, there are people shooting up outside. There are needles on the ground. There's broken bottles. There's people asking other broke people for money for drugs, and
right.
It's a hard scene. It's a really hard scene. It's the people that are just sucked into their addiction so deeply that they're not really caring about their survival are the ones I worry about most.
Yeah. And with winter here, it's also I know I was in Anchorage, Alaska, and the reason I went up there was because so many people were dying outside, and it wasn't so much. I mean, some of them were dying of alcohol poisoning, and some of them were, dying of hypothermia. It's very, very scary.
I did homeless outreach when I lived in Phoenix and was housed, and I attended the church that was right by the library, and so there were a couple hundred homeless folks in the neighborhood, and I knew most of them by name, and I can count on. I can name 8 people probably right now that that passed away either by violence or overdosed or because of the elements, either heat or cold in Phoenix.
Right.
It's such a it's a hard life
Yeah. So
in here. Here, and I was sleeping in a church doorway, and a woman told me about Tent City and told me how to get here, and thank goodness. I mean, in that church doorway, this dog never relaxed. He was on alert and on guard all night as the parade of tweakers went by, and the crazies and the people talking to themselves and screaming at the voices and whatever, and he just never got to relax. And so once we got to Tent City 3 and we were inside of his familiar environment of a tent again, he slept for 2 days.
wow. Yeah. I travel to most places in the United States. People like to say that I do this all because just to travel, but I don't go to any place nice. And one of the places, I go to the Skid Row areas, or I go to different areas that there's poverty and homelessness and addiction. And one of the places that makes me uncomfortable is the zone. The zone in Phoenix. Just I don't. You know what? I walked through Skid Row with you have to be conscious of your environment. I walk around Seattle downtown. I'm conscious of my environment, but I don't feel unsafe. In the zone, I feel the zone scares me. And for those of you who don't know, every city has a Skid Row area. In Phoenix, it's called the zone.
And the zone was set up to provide a campus for centralizing all the services for the homeless. They had a dental clinic. They have a shelter with about 125 beds. They have medical. They have mail service. They have a sheriff's liaison and things like that. But we'll have to go through about a 3-block gauntlet of predators,
right?
Of just people, the worst of the worst that you can imagine in an urban city environment. You've got gangsters, you've got drug dealers, you've got the other homeless, you're prone to violence, you're prone to being robbed. To get to the services, people don't even want to go there. They would rather be under a bush at the library.
Right, and you were talking earlier about needles and addicts and different things, and what some people don't realize is why people do drugs is to escape pain, and then there's a point where drugs take over, and then often in the poverty areas, the zone, Skid Row, those areas, there's a group of dealers and gang members, and they try to keep you in that prison. You know what I mean?
And people get their psych meds and then get rolled for their psych meds.
Right.
And there was a crowd of those people that were trying to run the park by the library as well. But I was kind of a fixture, and I used to go run those people off. And I knew that I could stand face to face with the crack dealer in the park and tell him to get out of my park, because there were 30 dudes in the bushes watching me, and they had my back, and they wanted him out of there too. Yeah.
Why did they call you Church David?
Because I was stationed at the big Lutheran church there, and we did a pancake breakfast every Sunday morning with a rock and roll service.
Awesome.
And on Saturdays, I did a Bible study. And then when it got dangerous hot, we opened up one of the first heat respite centers in Phoenix, where we let people come into the air conditioning when it got above 110 degrees for months and months.
Yeah.
And they could come in from 9 to 5 and be in the air conditioning, and other churches would donate water and supplies and stuff so they didn't have to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
And so we would host these couple hundred people every day during the summer. So I became Church David. And I ended up letting people shower in my apartment a couple blocks away and stuff that I could trust.
Yeah.
And I had one guy recover from surgery on my apartment floor and things like that.
Wow.
So I'm kind of banking those karma points now, I think.
Yeah. Kevin, let me ask you the same question.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about homelessness in Seattle, and you got to get in the screen. You got to get it so your full head's in the screen. There you go.
Right. Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. I like those glasses.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. homelessness in Seattle right now is we're a epidemic inside of a pandemic, inside of a housing crisis, and all the shelters are full. My experience even 7 years ago was it was very difficult to get a bed. You kind of, if you were high functioning with no health problems, you ended up, probably on a waiting list or on a mat in City Hall. So unfortunately, it's a situation that, without question, is a crisis. As David mentioned, I think our last count was 12,000, but it's probably triple that. And more people are coming online every single day. I met David through a mutual aid group in Seattle. And as you know, Mark, the downtown, that the protest area, homelessness really kind of got mixed up as
Oh
part
my
of the
God.
challenges that, well, you know about the camp downtown, right?
No, so I haven't talked to anybody about this. I know some of what happened in Los Angeles. I was actually there when the protests started. But then in Seattle, if I remember right, there was like a D police zone, right? There was that
Yeah.
area. Go ahead, tell me about it.
Well, I mean, that's always been, where people are sleeping rough. But once they took over this area of the park that became a huge uh, story nationally, and became of an obsession of like Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity.
Right, right, right.
Then
What?
unfortunately,
Can you just tell me which park? I'm fairly familiar
Right.
with Seattle, so I get which park downtown.
Cal Park Anderson.
Yeah, Anderson Park.
Okay, and where is that by?
It's in the Capitol Hill area
Okay,
of Seattle. It's sort of an older area. There's a beautiful park. Volunteer Park is near there.
okay.
The
So I
Episcopal
yeah,
that area.
go
But the
ahead.
main thing that's in that area was the East Seattle precinct, and the anarchists and Antifa took it over for a 3-day period,
Right.
and is next to a homeless encampment. And Mark, the issue became as Antifa started feeding and taking care of the homeless people, and also a lot of harm reduction groups, and just people in that community started focusing on the homeless encampment there, providing them supplies, kind of making them also part of the message. So unfortunately, homelessness kind of got mixed up in the message of everything else that was going on in that area.
Yeah.
And when they did a sweep of the camp, they brought in about 200 police officers, grenade launchers,
Oh
helicopters.
my.
It looked like a military. So
Oh my
basically, when the
gosh.
homeless,
Oh
it was
my.
basically like, yeah, look it up online, Mark. It was like a sweep done by the military.
I was 2 miles away at 10 City 3, safe in an Episcopal Cathedral parking lot, and we could hear the flashbangs off in the distance. It really freaked the dog out. It was like fireworks.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a scary, scary thing.
Oh wow.
Homelessness is becoming more of an issue because of the people, like the police officers that do the sweeps. They get paid $300,000 a year.
Yeah, you're
So
gonna
they
have to
want
center yourself there, Kevin.
okay. The outreach team for the police, they were highly compensated, and I guess the message became that they preferred for social workers to work with the homeless community instead of the police officers working with the homeless community.
Yeah.
They were looking to maybe take those funds, instead of using the police for these sweeps, to start using outreach workers and social workers.
Right, right. And did that happen? Because I realize I didn't. Gosh, I should have done a little more research, but didn't
There's
Seattle fire or stop the street team or the outreach or something? What happened
they,
there?
they defunded the NAV team, which is what it's called, and they cut the budget, and then there was a back and forth in the city council over how much of the budget to cut, and then the mayor threatened to veto it, and so it's kind of still up in the air, but this team is hamstrung a little bit, but they're still sweeping encampments and they're still taking people out of parks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because the navigation team, if I remember, was kind of like an outreach, but also kind of a political move because of the sweeps.
But in reality, nobody wanted to interact with the navigation team because it meant that your stuff was going to end up in a dumpster and your tent was going to be destroyed and you were going to end up back where you started.
But
Um,
Mark, I have friends that were personally kicked in the ribs for sleeping in a doorway. So the police, uh, this little outfit of police officers were very aggressive.
oh my gosh.
So they got kind of a bad reputation.
Well, it sounds like rightly so. So where are things now? That was during the protest. What is happening now?
Well, that was a few weeks ago. Things in this tent city 4 are relatively quiet and tranquil. And
Why I came, that's why
yeah,
I came here. I was in the leadership group of Tent City 3, and for 6 months I was babysitting other adults. And Tent City 4, I'm just another camper, and
Yeah,
I'm really enjoying the peace and quiet. The only needles that I have to worry about the dog stepping on are
yeah,
pine needles.
yeah,
It's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah,
So now, if I remember right, they did have a low barrier tent city there, but I believe that was shut down.
right.
And they not redo the low barrier?
No, the Tent City 3 is also on the surface and on paper a sober camp, but it was really up to the people who were in charge running it, and I was one of 7, and the other 6 weren't really that into the sobriety rules and that kind of stuff, and some of them were
Right,
even
right,
coming back to camp drunk and things, and so it was a hostile working environment if I wanted to maintain my sobriety and
right.
sanity for much longer.
Well, yeah. So it's just so where I'm going with this is abstinent based works. You want to stay sober. People should not be around drugs if you're doing an abstinent based program. People that are doing drugs need a place to stay too. So you have to have low barrier solutions. I know what I know some of the services downtown are low barrier, but that one tent city got closed. It was low barrier. It's sad that they're not able to operate more low barrier services.
It really is, and because that's a need. There are people who are just so into their addictions that they aren't seeking help
Right.
because
Well,
they know they're going to be.
you got to have, but you got to have a bathroom. I mean, if you're taking a crap behind a McDonald's dumpster, life sucks. Give me a beer. You know what I mean? So
I've been I've been through alcohol and other drug abuse in my years on the road and homeless, and I choose to do it sober because I need my wits about me.
right.
I really do, because you're going to get rolled. You're going to drop something of value. You're gonna take that crap behind the dumpster and then walk around the corner, and the cop's going to be sitting there who was watching you the
Yeah.
whole time. That kind of thing happens to drunk or stoned people. It doesn't happen to sober people.
Right. Right. And there's this stereotype that all homeless people are wasted, and that is just not the truth. It isn't. You know what I mean?
And seeking to numb that with a substance is completely understandable.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you understand it. Kevin understands it. I think the people joining us tonight understand it. Every now and then I run into a formerly homeless person that doesn't understand it, and that kind of blows my mind.
My last real job was as a substance abuse counselor, and I've put myself into alcohol detox 4 times trying to avoid opiate pain pills because I've got this chronic pain that's not going to go away. So I was trying to sip whiskey for it. And, I'm a trained professional, and I knew what I was doing and still did it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can't judge anybody.
Yeah.
No.
So I'm laughing because Walter, who's in the chat, who's one of my favorite formerly homeless people, just was sharing about how he crapped in a dumpster. I was talking about outside the dumpster, Walter. Outside the dumpster. But thanks for giving me that visual. So
He might have found a napkin in the dumpster, so
yeah. Well, I'm glad, Walter, that you're watching, because you're really big advocating for tiny homes, and that's what Tent City 3 and Tent City 4. There's no Tent City 1, right? Or there's 3, 4, and 5, right?
These are the only two in operation right now.
How about Nicholsville?
Nicholsville is still going strong. They've got about 20 units. And it's a tiny home village.
Yep. Very cool.
And they're under the same shared umbrella that we are.
So, you guys got anything else you want to say? I'll let you go. I know you said you only had a little amount of time before your dog runs out of his play toy.
Mark, I want to reach out to you. Do you know the person that probably has done more for homelessness in the United States more than anyone else is you, sir.
Oh,
you
stop.
Have helped so many people.
Stop.
No, you have helped people. You have no idea how many people you've helped. Just watching your videos are cathartic, and you're the inspiration for a lot of what I'm trying to do with my YouTube channel, which is here in Seattle. And it was actually, I saw Derek So in the comments.
Yeah.
I think, it was actually an idea that I got from him. Is he was giving best practices for rat traps. And what I've started doing is, especially for Seattle, we're having a lot of, actually teenagers are coming online every single day, homeless, and they don't know how to connect to services. Right. And so what we've been doing is a YouTube channel that has, like it says, homeless life hacks that kind of so part of the goal in the channel is to also reassure them that they're not alone, which is what you do with your videos. Every time I watched one of your videos, I knew that I was not alone in the homeless struggle.
Oh my gosh.
And Mark, you have really done more to help. I think in the United States, more than any pastor or nonprofit leader, you've done more to.
You're very kind. You're very kind, Kevin. And one thing that I've learned as I've started doing this is when I first started, I didn't think homeless people would watch these videos. I was like, you're homeless. Why would you want to watch homeless videos? And, it's like, you work at Burger King, you're not going to go to McDonald's on the way home, right? And so it was really a wake-up call with me that so many homeless people, and it makes sense now, identified with the videos because it made people feel less alone, feel less. I know when I was outside and when I was a drug addict, I thought I was from Mars or something. I thought I was, I was so weird, and, I had to be from another planet. And here I identified with people in AA, and that helped. So maybe these videos, as you say, provide value in that way. I didn't see that. And hi, Bliss.
Well, and also your Facebook group, I think, has probably saved lives. I think people have shown up, maybe suicidal, depressed, just at rock bottom. And that Facebook group is, again, another example of homeless people helping other homeless people.
Yeah.
And we are in this together. But Mark, please,
thank
you so much on behalf of everybody.
Well, thank you. And it's I was going to wait until after we signed off, but I'm going to do it now. Somebody earlier said, they don't have information on GuideStar. Don't donate. GuideStar just rates on if you do the accounting right. And our accounting is done right by a CPA and everything. But we're so tiny, it doesn't make sense for me to put money into being on GuideStar. GuideStar does not rate impact, right? It doesn't tell you, it tells you that this nonprofit has done the paperwork, they've done the spreadsheets, but it doesn't tell you if they're having impact. And thank you for saying that we have impact, because it's a different paradigm, because we're not providing direct service. I mean, we do. I mean, Tent City 5 has refrigerators because of us, right? When we see a need, we help people, but we're not trying to give out sandwiches. We're trying to get people into housing so that they don't need sandwiches.
Mark, your channel has changed the conversation. You have personally helped so many people. You have saved lives. Thank you for providing a place where people can tell their stories. Please, at some point this week, just look in the mirror and give yourself some credit for the amount of people that you've helped in this world.
Oh my gosh, Kevin, I needed to hear this. Thank you. I was I just needed to hear it. And as we were talking, I think I got to get up to Seattle. I really do. I know we're going to do a road trip this summer, but I've got to get up to Seattle even sooner somehow.
Well, Mark, we'll say goodbye, but I want to leave you with a quote by the great philosopher Hobo John. Be kind to yourself, sir.
Well, thank you, guys. You guys have a good night. Awesome. Wow. That was really great. You guys are going to be regulars now. Cool. So, how is everybody? Let me pay a little attention to the chat room. Hey, Jacob. Love you too. I love Seattle too. It's great. Thank you, Rochelle. Judy, I don't know. Thank you. Oh gosh, everybody that's donated. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the fuel that keeps us going. Kern County. I have actually been fishing in Kern County. Thank you, Dylan. And Derek, did you hear that they got the idea from your how to lay rat traps? How you guys been holding out last couple of weeks? Thank you, Michelle. I actually, I'm so nervous that I'm going to break these, because that's how I got these, is my other blue ones, which I love, but I started to get used to these. The other blue ones broke, so I've been wearing other ones because I don't want these to break. Thank you, Keith. Hi, Sunshine Girl. I don't, I can't understand. You got a lot of hearts there. I don't know how to say your name. But yes, it was very encouraging for Kevin to say that. I'll tell you a little story. So, and I learned this from somebody else, actually. He said it to me and it kind of stuck. If you go into a community, the politicians, other nonprofits, they're probably going to brag about a nonprofit, some nonprofit. And there's good nonprofits. I'm not saying there are not. Then if you go into the homeless community and you ask homeless people, who's the good nonprofit? It's almost opposite. They will say somebody else, because normally it's not the to be, how would you say it? To be, you cannot always advocate for the marginalized and still remain friends with the powerful. So I have said at the beginning of Invisible People, I'm going to take these off now that I don't have to wear them. I have said at the beginning of Invisible People that I care about what homeless people think. I care about what you guys think, right? You are the Invisible People family, the community. You guys give direct feedback. I want to hear from you. And when a homeless person gives compliments, or if a homeless person is critical of something, I really pay attention. And I'm blown away. And I got to admit, I needed it tonight. I've been beat down here a little bit. And, as we've talked many a times, so when you're beat down, it's okay to feel the pain. When you cut your finger, the reason it hurts is you need a Band-Aid, right? That pain is there to tell you something. And then you do something to, make your world better. What I recommend often is going out and helping other people. So I'm going to be, as I was saying when I started this show, which got off to a strange start, I'm going to really look at really building this Sunday night show. And I told you when I moved back to LA, it might move to a different time slot. But what I'm thinking is, did you guys like the guests, right? So like a guest interview, and then we will talk about some current news, some hot topics that are in the news. And of course, check out the chat and have some interaction. Hopefully you are all doing okay. But as I experiment with, excuse me, as I experiment with the format, I need you guys to tell me you like something or don't like something. Interviews will probably be at the beginning. Thank you, Addie. They will probably be at the beginning just because after you test, you don't want them. But then we can go into news stories. And how about we do just that? So I do not know how many of you get our newsletter or check out our news on Invisible People. She might even be watching. A homeless friend of mine, Chris, started messaging me early in the morning about the fire. And, I'm kind of hadn't had coffee yet, but I clicked on the link and I was watching the helicopter footage and I went, oh my gosh, I know where that is. I know people in the tent. I have friends in those tents. And it was heartbreaking because I know as, the city and NIMBYs and politicians and everybody scream about how awful the fire, and it is. Fires are dangerous. Fires are dangerous anywhere. Fires in Southern California where there's not enough rain and, there's crazy forest fires are super dangerous. So, fires are serious. I knew all the people. There's probably 10, I would say 20 people in this encampment that is right next to this building. And it was a tent. So far, it's under investigation. There was a tent that caught on fire. So this is how homeless fires start. More often than not, they are gangs. There are gangs that come in and tax you. So if you set up your tent someplace and you don't have the ability to set it up someplace else, maybe you're older or whatever, and other places there's other gangs, you have to pay. It might be 50 cents a day, it might be $5 a day, whatever. You have to pay. Or they want a bit of whatever you're making, panhandling or whatever, right? It's, like mafia extortions. And so gangs, if you don't pay, will set your tent on fire. And occasionally there's disputes over drugs and different things. Set your tent on fire. There's obviously cooking. There's obviously propane for heat. People fall asleep smoking cigarettes and burn houses, right? So intense too. And the fire in Venice is crazy serious, crazy bad. And my concern is, and here's the post. I actually wrote this post. So the concern is that and almost immediately, Venice residents started screaming for LAPD to remove all the tents and for the politicians to be removed, right? So here's the reality. Los Angeles, there's a report. I read two reports. One said it's going to increase 89%. Homelessness is going to increase 89%. I think another one said that homelessness is going to triple in the next year. Triple. So if you move the tents from Venice, to Van Nuys, the police move them. The police move homeless people from Van Nuys. They go to Venice. They just move people around. It's like that, whack-a-mole thing, It doesn't do anything to end homelessness. And it's very, very scary. Now, when there's a fire, if it was a house fire, the Red Cross kicks in. Red Cross puts you in a hotel for a few days. They make sure that you have clothes. So all these people probably lost everything. I wish I was in LA. I would be there. Walter knows I would be there trying to help as much as I can. And because they're homeless, they just lose everything. And you got to understand, for a homeless person to replace their clothes, they go to a church or they go to some place, and it's really lucky that somebody's going to donate your size. And then somebody donates something that is your size and isn't yellow with pink polka dots or something, right? That you could actually wear and be comfortable. So when you get enough clothes to survive, it's not like you go Ross Dress for Less and buy what you want. You have to pick through charity boxes, and it could take months for you to get a wardrobe or enough clothes where you feel comfortable, right? And then bam, the fire, and they're not going to get any help. The homeless people aren't going to get any help. There's nobody helping them. And that's what really, really broke my heart. It is very serious. Again, fires are very serious. So the second news story that I think is really, really important and you can find all of these stories. Either sign up for our newsletter. So this YouTube isn't the only thing we do. We're on Google News. We're on Apple News. Pull out your iPhone, open the news app, search Invisible People Favorite Us. Pull out your Android phone, do the same thing. There's a Google News app, Favorite Us, or visit our website or follow Invisible People. So here's that particular news story. $129 billion. So the United States has a very serious problem. We spend more money than we make. Now, the IRS looks a little out of focus. The IRS has been, taxes have increased every year. More money's coming in, but there's more spending. Okay? That's not good. I mean, if you're, Addie's asking me to repeat something. I don't remember what I said. So if you're a business or a person or an organization, nonprofit, or a country, and you're spending more than you make year after year, it's not going to end well. And the United States has been spending more. Now we're in this pandemic. It's a very, very, very serious crisis. I mean, first off, we have to get healthy. We have to, we're coming up on 400,000 deaths. We might have even passed it by now. We have to get, people back to work, get kids in school. And so we're in very challenging circumstances because right now we've already been spending money, right? We've been spending more than we make before the pandemic. And now, but here's the thing. If we allow homelessness to increase 89%, or if we allow homelessness to triple, and there is research that it's going to happen. If we allow that, and that's what this report talks about, it will cost $129 billion. And, on the same level, the money we're spending every year is military. And I believe in a strong defense. We should have a strong military. There's some strange characters in this world, but there's a point where we also have to take care of our own. And when you look at the eviction crisis that's coming, now, Addie will be happy that I'm about to say this. Notice I've stayed away from politics. The Biden administration is coming in. They're talking about investing first in coronavirus, getting the vaccines out, then getting people back to school, getting people back to work. But they're also looking at, preventing evictions. And there is some really good news coming. And why I'm sharing this, because it's very important, is soon our Congress is going to vote on this stuff. And we're going to have to push it through. And, I know you guys are the core group, but when you are talking to your coworkers, your neighbors, your friends at your bowling league, you need to, say, what? If we let all these people get evicted, it's going to cost $129 billion. It's crazy. Well, let's talk about. And again, 5 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, Invisible People, we create news content. We have a bunch of writers. Some of them are homeless. Some are formerly homeless. But here, let me share this link. So I'm 59 years old. I turn 60 soon. I'm not quite at the age I cut out when I switch screens. Okay, got it. I won't switch screens anymore. Oh my gosh, I missed all. Live streaming drives me crazy. So the vaccine. Oh, I'm so sorry. So the vaccine, and thank you, Addie. That now I get what you're talking about. When I have to set that up differently. There's just I had. Let me go back and here. And now you get it. There it is. I'm there, and you see the vaccine. All right. So now I know what I did wrong and how to fix it. Thank you, Addie. I'm almost 60. They've started giving it to 65-year-olds, the vaccine. I don't work front-facing, like I'm not a paramedic. I'm not working in a hospital. So although I do go out and hang out with homeless people and help all I can, I did not think that I qualified for a vaccine. And then I saw a friend of mine share, and why I think this is important to talk about. A friend of mine shared that she had gotten a vaccine because she works in homeless services. And I went, what? They're allowing homeless service workers? So I can only talk about New York State. And this article talks about other areas and homeless people getting the vaccines. I know in New York City, it started getting to homeless people too. So a couple of weeks ago, I went to the website. There's an automatic thing and you fill out. I'm an honest person. I bet you there's people lying. You know what I mean? So, but I'm an honest person, filled it all out, and I didn't see the sub menus or anything. And then a friend of mine shared that she had gotten a vaccine. And I went, whoa, okay. Maybe they're now frontline nonprofit workers in homeless shelters. So I went to the website, and sure enough, now because even though I'm like on the fringe, the criteria is if you work in a homeless shelter, work or live in a homeless shelter, and you are paid or unpaid. So volunteers and different people, you qualify for a vaccine. So I signed up. So what I'm trying to say to you, and there are several homeless people here, is that go figure out what the criteria is for your state, and get in line, because when I first looked at it, if I was smart about it, I probably would have gotten a vaccine this coming week, but they're booked so far out that now it's going to be late in February, which is fine. See, because doctors, nurses, grocery store workers, they need to be in the line before me. There's also, I would hope homeless people would get in line before me. I'm perfectly fine with that because, I have a place here where I'm able to isolate. I got food and, it's a house and, all is good. I'm going crazy because there's not enough social interaction, but I'm not going to die from COVID here. I'm safe. I do want to, hey, Jeff, that's great. I do want to get back out on the streets as quickly as possible. One of the reasons why I haven't scheduled a trip is like Los Angeles, they're saying 1 in 3 people have COVID now. And they have now restricted outside travel going into the city or going into California or into Los Angeles County. So when you go in, you immediately have to stay quarantine for 10 days. And I can't afford that, right? I mean, I don't know anybody that's going to let me stay on their couch in quarantine, and I can't pay 10 days of a hospital stay just to sit in a room, right? That just doesn't, or a hotel stay just to sit in a room. So that does not make any sense to me. But the reason that I'm sharing this is that you guys will, if you qualify, maybe some of you work or live in a homeless shelter, check it out and pay attention. It's changing all the time. It's changing all the time. Okay, we have come up on an hour, I think. Have we? Yes, we have been live for an hour. So I meant to... I've been pre-producing this show a little bit, and then everything happened at the last moment. And then Kevin, I didn't know how he was so close to Tent City 4. That worked out great. Thanks, Kevin, and thanks, David. But this is what I kind of wanted to say at the beginning is that, I'm sorry I wasn't able to live stream last week. I needed to take a break. I didn't even upload this week because I just needed to take a break. I really did a lot of introspection, and this show is important. Melka, thank you for talking me into this. Dano and Walter and Bliss and Lady T and all of you. There's too many to name. And, Addie and Derek for being the weekly moderators. And, oh my gosh, you guys, we become family. So it's important that we connect. But, like I said, when I'm in Los Angeles or I'm in Phoenix or something, I have stories to talk about. And when it's just me here in my mom's house, now that mom's dogs died and mom died, there's not a lot to talk about. So, and I want to provide value to you guys. So, tonight was kind of a rough shot of a format where there would be an interview at the beginning and then we would talk about some current news and get your feedback on going forward. But I was thinking that would be the initial show format. I want to be able to, do something for you guys. You know what I mean? The reason I'm doing this, being candid, I get a lot out of it. Hanging with you guys tonight made me better. I do get a lot out of it. But the reason I'm live streaming on Sundays is for you. So I want your feedback, right? You guys, please, @HardlyNormal is a great way. Or I'll ask on the community section what you guys think. But I over the next little bit while I'm still here, because I'm going to be trapped here at mom's house for a bit. I think that we're going to, try a couple of different formats and see what works and see what you like and work out the technical issues. Like I went to the screens and there was no audio. Oh my gosh. You're welcome, Lady T. And Walter, you've been with us all night. Dano, you still there? So, hey, Belgium. Hello. Thank you, everybody donating. You are awesome. So, folks, it has been a little bit over an hour. Huge thanks to Addie and Derek. Huge thanks to all of you that are, engaged in this conversation and supporting invisible people. It's kind of funny. I went into 2020 with a plan. It was a great plan. And then the pandemic hit. So 2021 is starting off crazy. So I'm hoping that like the universe balances itself. Like 2020 started off great and it got really crappy. And then I'm hoping that 2021 starting off a little rocky and it gets to be really good. So, and I forgot, live streaming drives me crazy. I mean, I love you guys, but the technical issues, and that's something I got to look at as maybe getting a live stream producer. So, somebody that can take care of all the technical stuff. So then I can just take care of the content. Anyways, you guys, thank you. Thank you for spending another hour with me. Thank you for your forgiveness for not going live last week. Thank you for your support of invisible people, and thank you for your support of working to help end homelessness. I really, really, really genuinely think the world of you all. And see you next week.